Om. Prostration to the blessed Lord Rudra. Prostration to thee, Rudra, prostration to thy wrath and thy arrow, which destroy evil. Prostration to thy bow, prostration to thy mighty arm. This thy arrow that has become exceedingly peaceful to the devout, thy bow become a source of auspiciousness, and thy quiver of blessedness. With these, O valiant one, Rudra, make us happy. O Rudra, that blessed and benign form of thine, which obliterates the trace of all sins, with that most hallowed and calm phase of thy being, reveal thyself to us, O radiator of peace from the mount of Kailash. O benefactor from the mount of Kailash, that arrow which thou wieldest for aiming at enemies, make that benign in respect of us. Harm not human beings or others in creation, O protector in the sacred mount. O resident of the mountains, we pray to thee with auspicious eulogies for the sake of attaining thee. Do so deign that this whole world of ours is rid of all ailment and affliction, and blooms with a joyous mind. May that divine physician, first among gods, exalt me in his all-redeeming transcendent being. Having cut off all evil, whether in the form of poisonous creatures and wild beasts, or the demonic natures in creation. This Rudra in the form of the sun, ruddy, pink, brownish and yellow and of varied hue, in different stages of rising from the horizon, most auspicious, being dispeller of darkness, manifested in the bright rays enveloping the earth from all directions, ranging in tens and thousands. Of these the penetrating ferocity we mitigate with our prostrations. This blue-necked, caused by the drinking of poison, red-complexioned one, who traverses through the sky in the form of the sun, him do see the unlettered cowherds as well as the maids carrying water. Him do also see all beings both high and low. May he, Rudra, make us happy. Salutation be to Nilagriva, the one with the blue neck, who has 1,000 eyes as Indra, and who pours down as rain or Parjanya. Salutation be from me to others too, who attend upon him as his servants. Lord, unfurl the string at both the ends of thy bow. Those arrows that are in thy hand, set them aside, now after the enemy has been destroyed. O 1,000-eyed divinity, thou that hast hundreds of quivers in war, setting down thy bow and dismantling the ends of thy piercing arrows, after thy purpose has been fulfilled, become thou auspiciousness unto us with a charming mood of blessing. May the bow of Kapardin or Shiva be freed from its string, and may his quiver be without the piercing ends of the arrows held above. May his arrows become incapable of piercing through, and may his bow become merely a support for the arrows, and not to shoot them. O abundant source of all fulfillments, protect us thou from all sides with the weapons like the sword and the bow in thy hands that have ceased from purposes of destruction. Salutation be to thy weapon, arrow, that has not been extended on the bow, but is capable of striking the enemy. Salutation to thy bow, and salutation to thy two arms. Lord, may the pointed arrows of thy bow exclude us in every way from their destructive operations, and that quiver of thine, may thou keep it far away from us, and protect us. Prostration be to thee, O Lord, ruler of the universe, great God, three-eyed one, destroyer of the Tripuras. death to the destructive fire of the three worlds at the end of time, terror to even the terrible fire of time. O blue-necked one, overcomer of mortality, overlord over everyone, bestower of blessedness, ever auspicious, the blessed great God, to thee prostration. Prostration to the golden-armed one, the supreme commander of all forces, the lord of all quarters. Prostration to the vital essence and source of the green-leaf trees, the master of all created beings. Prostration to the self-effulgent one, the lord of the different routes which souls take on departure from this world. Prostration to the rider over the bull, the chastiser of the opposing force, the lord of food, a ruler over matter. Prostration to the one with blue hair on the head, not turned grey, the wearer of the sacred thread, indicating auspiciousness, the master of those who are full with the qualities of perfection. Prostration to the severer of samsara, the sovereign over all creation. Prostration to Rudra, who protects with his outstretched bow the ruler of all fields, temples, bodies, and all creation. Prostration to the charioteer, the director of all things, the invincible one, the lord of all forests, vegetation, and life. Prostration to the crimson-hued one, who existing even in trees is the supreme protector of all. Prostration to the one who manifests himself as the minister in a royal court, as the merchant in business, and as the ruler over all the plant kingdom. Prostration to the creator of the world, the master of all wealth, the lord over medicines. Prostration to him who thunders in battle and makes the enemy shriek in fear, and is the commander of all forces. Prostration to the all-enveloping one, the fast in action, the refuge of the self-surrendering devotee. Prostration to the valiant confronter of foes, the terrific uprooter of the opposing forces, the protector of the powers of dharma pressing from all sides. Prostration to the Lord seated on the haunch of the bull, armed with the sword, the chief of even thieves, or stealer of everyone's heart. Prostration to the chief of robbers, to him who is armed with quiver and arrows. Prostration to the deceiving, the tricky and elusive lord of marauders. Prostration to the ever-cunning leader of the thieves lurking at home and those wandering in the streets and the forests. Prostration to the chief of the self-protecting animals and of the retaliating thieves ever ready to strike people to death. Prostration to the chief of dacoits armed with swords and prowling in the nights for booty. Prostration to the roving chief with helmet and turban wandering through the mountains, who steals away people's belongings in houses and fields. Prostration to him who is in the forms of those that move about holding bows and using arrows. Prostration to him who is in those that string their bows and discharge the arrows. Prostration to him who is in those that stretch the bows and send arrows again. Prostration to him who is in those that shoot the arrows and make them hit the targets. Prostration to thee who art the sitting and the reclining. Prostration to thee who art the sleeping and the waking. Prostration to thee who art the standing and the running, the static and the dynamic. Prostration to thee who art the assemblies and the assembly chiefs. Prostration to thee who art the horses and the horse riders. Prostration to thee who art in the form of the Shaktis, competent to strike all round in various ways. Prostration to thee who art the gentle higher Shaktis as well as the violent lower Shaktis. Prostration to thee who art those that run after sense pleasures as also their leaders. Prostration to thee who art the hosts of living and non-living beings as well as their chiefs. Prostration to thee who are in the form of the hosts of celestial attendants and their chiefs. Prostration to thee who are the formless and the universal formed. Prostration to thee who art the great as well as the small. Prostration to thee who are those that ride on chariots and those that do not. Prostration to thee who art the chariots as well as the chariot owners. Prostration to thee who are in the form of armies and army chiefs. Prostration to thee who are the trained charioteers and apprentices in chariot driving. Prostration to thee who art the carpenters and the chariot makers. Prostration to thee who art the potters and blacksmiths. Prostration to thee who are the fowlers and the fishermen. Prostration to thee who art in the form of the artisan who makes arrows and bows. Prostration to thee who art the hunters and the huntsmen. Prostration to thee who art the hounds and the keepers of hounds. Prostration to the creator and destroyer of the universe. Prostration to the remover of sins and the protector of all beings. Prostration to the blue-necked one and the fair-necked one. Prostration to the matted locks one and the clean-shaven one. Prostration to the thousand-eyed one and him who wields multiple bows. Prostration to the resident of the mountains as Shiva and the immanent one in all beings as Vishnu. Prostration to the one who wields arrows and reigns heavily through the clouds. Prostration to the one who is dwarf in size and small in limbs. Prostration to the one who is huge in size and multiformed in limbs. Prostration to the ancient one who is glorified through eternity. Prostration to the primeval one and the chief of beings. Prostration to the omnipresent one and the agile among things. Prostration to the one in the quick and the flowing. Prostration to the one in the roaring waves and the still water. Prostration to the one in the swift rivers and the islands. Prostration to him who is the eldest as well as the youngest. Prostration to him who is the ancient being as well as all that emanates from it. Prostration to him who is the middle in creation, such as the celestials, etc., as well as the infant. Prostration to him who is the last in creation, as well as the trees and plants with their branches and foliage. Prostration to him who is mixed in character, that is virtue and vice, representing the human being, as well as all that is moving. Prostration to him who dispenses justice as Yama, the Lord of Death, and bestows the beatitude of salvation to beings. Prostration to him who reigns over the green earth, rich with harvest, and is in the farmyards. Prostration to him who is in the mantras of the Vedas and the meditations of the Upanishads. Prostration to him who is in the form of trees in forests and in creepers and plants. Prostration to him who is in sound and in its echo. Prostration to him who is in armies moving fast and in chariots rattling forth. Prostration to him who is valiant and destroys enemies. Prostration to him who wields a shield and leads the hosts to success. Prostration to him who is helmeted and armored. Prostration to him who is the renowned ancient one and whose forces are reputed in all of creation. Prostration to him who is immanent in the sound of the drum and in the sound of the tabor. Prostration to him who is in those that never retreat in war and in the ablest reconnoiters. Prostration to him who is in the spies and in military messengers. Prostration to him who is in the wielder of swords and in operators of the quiver. Prostration to him who uses sharp arrows and countless weapons. Prostration to him who wields the auspicious missile, the trident, and the blessed bow called the pinaka. Prostration to him who is in narrow lanes and in broad highways. Prostration to him who is in dribbling streams and in mountainous torrents of water. Prostration to him who is in marshes and lakes. Prostration to him who is in rivers and reservoirs. Prostration to him who is in wells and pits. Prostration to him who is in rains and in oceans. Prostration to him who is in the clouds and in lightning. Prostration to him who is in the autumnal clouds and in the heating sun. Prostration to him who is in the winds and in the stormy downpours of the deluge. Prostration to him who is in the wealth of cattle and land. Prostration to him who has Uma as his consort and who causes to flee all sorrows of samsara. Prostration to him who is crimson-colored as the rising sun and is reddish when the sun has risen above the horizon. Prostration to him who brings about the peace and happiness of beings and protects all creatures. Prostration to him who is terrible to foes and fearful to those who oppose him. Prostration to him who destroys enemies in front and who destroys them from behind. Prostration to him who is the destroyer of things here and the destroyer of everything in the end. Prostration to him who is in the form of trees filled with green leaves. Prostration to him who is embodied in Om, the Pranava. Prostration to him who is the source of bliss, spiritual as well as temporal. Prostration to him who dispenses all happiness, heavenly as well as earthly. Prostration to him who is the auspicious one and is more auspicious than anything else. Prostration to him who is in the holy waters of shrines and in emblems erected on their banks. Prostration to him who is in this shore as the bestower of prosperity, and on the other shore as the blessedness beyond mortality. Prostration to him who is the means to cross over sin by ritual as well as by knowledge. Prostration to him who is the cause of rebirths and the fact behind the experiences of the fruits of karma. Prostration to him who is in the tender grass and in the fleeting foam. Prostration to him who is in the sands and the flowing waters of rivers. Prostration to him who is in fertile lands and in broad high roads. Prostration to him who is in rocky grounds and inhabitable places. Prostration to him who has matted locks and who reveals himself to devotees. Prostration to him who is in cowsheds and in homes of people. Prostration to him who is in bedsteads and in palaces. Prostration to him who is in thorny jungles and in mountain caves. Prostration to him who is in whirlpools and in dewdrops. Prostration to him who is in the atoms and in dust. Prostration to him who is in what is dry and what is green. Prostration to him who is in difficult terrains and in the green grass. Prostration to him who is in the earth and in the gallant waved rivers. Prostration to him who is in fresh leaves and in heaps of dry leaves. Prostration to him who is with uplifted weapons and who strikes the sinful. Prostration to him who afflicts enemies mildly as well as severely. Prostration to you all who are the hearts of the gods, bestowing on devotees wealth, material as well as spiritual. Prostration to you who are undecaying. Prostration to you who grant the wishes of everyone. Prostration to you who destroy evil from all sides. Prostration to you who manifest yourselves abundantly. O wielder of the rod of justice, O punisher, O lord of food, O unattached, independent one possessing nothing, O blue and red one in hue, may there not be fear in these people and these cattle of ours. May not any one of them stray away or perish. May not any one of them be diseased. O Rudra, that which is your auspicious form, auspicious as the universal panacea for all ills, auspicious as the bestower of knowledge and realization of your Rudra form, with that make us live in happiness. We dedicate this mind of ours to Rudra, the powerful, with matted hair, causing the waning and destruction of enemies, so that in this our locality, village, land or country, happiness may prevail on humankind, and cattle and all living beings remain robust and free from troubles of any kind. O Rudra, render us happy both here with material prosperity and hereafter with spiritual blessedness. With our obeisance we propitiate you, the destroyer of our enemies, internal and external. May we attain, Rudra, with your loving grace, all that happiness and freedom from sorrow which our father Manu acquired. O Rudra, destroy not our aged ones or our young ones, our infants or our babes in the womb. Kill not our father or our mother and our dear bodies. Rudra, do not in your anger bring trouble on our children, our sons, our lifespan, our cattle, our horses. Destroy not our brave, useful servants. We propitiate you with our prostrations, offering oblations to you. God, let thy gentle form, meant for our good, which spells destruction on cattle and human beings in the enemy's fighting forces, be near us. Protect us, exalt us among all things, and confer grace on us. Thou, the glory of here and hereafter. Praise the celebrated one, the dweller in the cave of the heart, ever young, new and fresh, terrible at the time of destruction of enemies and of the universe in the end, like a ferocious lion, O Rudra. Make us, praying through this mortal frame, happy. Let thy forces wipe out what is different from us. External as well as internal, what is different from us is what is other than the true self or the Atman. May the destructive weapon of Rudra, as also his burning angry will risen against sinners, keep away from us, not harm us. O granter of boons to those who surrender themselves with offerings, turn away your wrath from us who are prostrate before you. Bestow happiness on our children and grandchildren. O supreme bestower of blessings on devotees, O supremely auspicious one, be propitious and graceful to us. Leaving thy destructive weapons behind on the top of a high tree, descend and appear before us wearing the tiger skin and wielding thy pinaka bow merely as insignia. O profuse granter of boons, O white-hued one, prostration be to you, O Lord. May your countless weapons, all of them, destroy what is different from us. That is, what is contrary to self. Disease, poverty, ignorance, enemy, and finally the sense of separateness in pure being. O Lord, in your hands are myriad weapons of diverse types. Master over them all, condescend to turn their faces away from us. We keep unstringed 1,000 leagues away the bows of those myriad forms of the countless manifestations of Rudra who range over this earth, who are spread over this vast ocean of space. Those forms characterized by blue necks and also fair necks, the Sarva, the manifestations of Rudra who wander in the nether regions as they lord. We keep unstringed 1,000 leagues away the bows of those forms characterized by blue necks and also fair necks, the Rudras who reign over the heavenly regions as they lords, those forms who with yellow hues like tender grass and with blue necks, also sometimes with reddish color, reside in trees as they lords. We keep unstringed 1,000 leagues away the bows of those lords of ghostly spirits, some of whom are shaven-headed and some among whom wear matted hair. We keep unstringed 1,000 leagues away the bows of those forms of Rudra who afflict people through food by way of disbalance of the humors and afflict those who drink in vessels by sips and excesses, etc. We keep unstringed 1,000 leagues away the bows of those who are the protectors of all the paths of the soul, both here and hereafter, who control the supply of foodstuffs to all beings, who fight with and drive away enemies who stand in our way. We keep unstringed 1,000 leagues away the bows of those who stalk about in holy places to protect them with sharp swords and fierce instruments in their hands. We keep unstringed 1,000 leagues away the bows of all these forms of Rudra and many more than already mentioned who exist filling the quarters. Prostration to the Rudras in myriad forms who exist in earth, atmosphere and heaven, and whose arrows or weapons are food, wind and rain. Prostration to these with folded hands, all the 10 fingers joined forward in submission in the east, 10 fingers thus in the south, 10 in the west, 10 in the north, 10 upwards, prostration to them. May they render us happy. Whomsoever we hate, and whoever hates us, him we having thus resorted consign, O Rudras, into your wide open mouths. We worship the three-eyed one, fragrant with energy, increasing strength and prosperity of those who adore him. May we be freed from death for the sake of immortality, as a cucumber is freed from its hold of bondage to the creeper. That Rudra who is in fire, who is in water, who is in medical herbs, that Rudra who has entered all the worlds, to that Rudra be prostration. Resort to him who is armed with excellent arrows and good bow, who is the source of all remedies for worldly ills. We worship that God Rudra, the destroyer of pains, with our salutations for attaining peace of mind. This hand of mine is blessed. This mine is twice blessed. This mine is the remedy for the ills of all the worlds. This which has touched Shiva in the shrine of worship. O destroyer, death of death, what thousands and tons of thousands of binding forces wielded by you there are, which are meant for the ruin of the mortal individual. Those all we set aside with the power of sacrifice. May this offering be to the Death Supreme, that is the death of death, for the destroyer of all evil, sin and sorrow. May this offering be to the Death Supreme. Om, prostration to the all-pervading, blessed Lord Rudra. Save me from death or mortal existence. Thou, Rudra, art the center of the vital forces. Enter not therefore as the destroyer. With this sustaining element of thy grace, make us grow into abundance and fullness. May we be one with you always, O Rudra, Lord Shiva. May there be peace, peace, peace.